We start off this series in Germany, where we see someone saying that this night they should have really turned down that job. We then see a girl running with all that she can. She is in a phone call with someone who says that mysterious myths about supernatural beings tell the girl that times have changed and that for the past 10 years, sightings of these fairy tale monsters have been reported and tons of bizarre creatures have been caught on video. The girl drops the phone and says that it's all lies and that it's just some silly occult stuff and that it's all made up. But just then, a monster appears right behind her and the monster is going to attack her. Just then, a mysterious swordsman comes from the sky and cuts the monster in half, and it's none other than our main character, Tojuro. The girl quickly sees him before he quickly disappears. Someone then goes to Tojuro and tells him that he did great work on this last-minute mission and calls him a lifesaver. Tojuro asks if there are any anomalies left downtown, but the guy says that there isn't. Tojuro calls it a relief, and then he crashes out and says that it's because they are making him work his ass off, suddenly dragging him overseas and putting him straight to work. The guy just laughs and says that Tojuro is always so reliable. Tojuro then sits down on the ground and says that he already wants to go back to Japan. The man tells him that as an exorcist, Tojuro has got one of the highest extermination numbers and says that it's quite impressive for someone his age. Tojuro just says that he doesn't feel so great, and the man calls him cranky. Tojuro then says that the anomaly it's faced looks so much like his family dog Peso, and he then starts to shake while the guy just smiles. We then get explained that the anomalies suddenly appeared about 10 years ago, and that they are creatures that defy the principles of biology. As sightings were confirmed across all nations and analysis progressed, a single conclusion was drawn, which was that no matter whether myth, fable, or urban legend, their forms closely resembled every single mythology, saying that legendary creatures actually exist in the modern world. The Prime Minister then asks how this is a problem. People then look scared and ask him what he is saying. He just asks if they don't have people who can subjugate these monsters. He says that they do, but not everyone seems to know that they do. We then learn that the ones who could fight were those who could fight an unseen enemy, and they were called exorcists. We then get to a car where Tojuro says that this is just a convenient way of dumping jobs on them, and says that modern weapons could easily deal with some of these anomalies, and asks why they don't just kill them instead. The guy with glasses says that it's their duty, not his, saying that their family trades have been passed down for generations to finally be recognized, and he's sure that their ancestors are pleased. We then learn that exorcists have only one restriction, which is to never reveal themselves to ordinary people. We then get back to Tojuro, who says that just because his family has been practicing spiritual power for generations, he gets dragged all the way overseas for this, and no one even knows what he did. The glasses guy says that he understands him and that they're putting their lives on the line, and that a thank you once in a while would be nice. Tojuro, however, says that it's not only that, but that a life where you are forced to just kill things. He really hates it, and that he just wants a normal, slow life and to be free. Everyone just looks at him after that, and the glasses guy says that if Tojuro was free, then he could have pursued romance with that girl from earlier. But Tojuro says that it's not like that. Some of the other guys ask what's so great about girls when Tojuro has got them. We also see another girl in the car beginning to laugh by this. Anyway, the glasses guy then claps his hands and says that it's time to discuss the mission at hand. He tells them that they are on a route to the outskirts of Germany, where the rustic townscapes have become a popular tourist attraction. Starting this evening, the village is holding a festival lasting several days. Over the past few years, apparently, a partial powerful anomaly has been appearing during this period. He says that it's called the King of Beasts, saying that it has an imposing towering stature and appears in the Old Testament. But not only that, as it's among the strongest and toughest mythical creatures there are, Tojuro asks if they can really subjugate someone that powerful, but he just says that they will find out soon, but tells them to think of it this way. If they manage to defeat it, and the person who achieved this feat made a request, surely they would grant them at least one request, right? He looks towards Tojuro and says that if it's something he truly desires, then an ordinary life or perhaps love may not just be a dream after all, and Tojuro gets big eyes as he hears that. Tojuro then gets into the city and thinks that if he subjugates this anomaly, then he can finally be free. He says that he isn't trying to be like Quatre, and I'm guessing that is the glasses guy. Anyway, Tojuro says that he doesn't care about missions or duties, but instead that once this subjugation is over, he can finally be together with everyone else. But Tojuro starts to think about it and wonders why the anomaly only targets the days of this festival, wondering what its fixation is. Tojuro looks puzzled as he says that it must be acting with some sort of specific intention, and that he really wishes that they could understand each other, thinking that these anomalies, he really wonders what they think about. But as Tojuro is in his mind, thinking, he suddenly hears a loud scream which catches his attention. He looks at the citizens who screams, asking what it is that is coming their way. Tojuro spots the creatures and just wonders if it's supposed to be a mountain. But he then gets serious as he says no, and that the thing is the strongest beast in the land, and that it's a legendary anomaly, and he starts going towards it right away. But as he gets to it, he looks kind of scared as he thinks that it's way too big and says that it's the Beast King Behemoth. After that, the other comes, and Quattro tells the mages to immobilize it, and they send out some sort of pillars from the ground, which are supposed to hold it down. Quattro then takes out his own weapon and starts shooting at it right away. Tojuro then screams that they have got it, but Quattro says that he is wrong, as we then see that all of that didn't do anything, and Quattro says that even binding spells are useless against it. As Tojuro is looking at it, he realizes something, which is that it's moving really weirdly, saying that it's not even rampaging or anything, and that it's almost as if it's trying to avoid causing damage. Quattro then screams for Tojuro, who gets his head back in the game as he says that he can't care about any of it right now. If he just cuts down this anomaly, then he can be free. As Tojuro rushes towards it, a big magic circle suddenly appears under him, and he screams, asking what kind of spell this is, and Quattro says that he's got no idea, and that he has never seen anything like this. Quattro screams out for Tojuro, who just thinks that for the sake of his freedom he will slice it down, so he gets out his sword and makes a big jump as he jumps up and cuts off one of its horns, which leads to the behemoth falling to the ground. But then, everything suddenly gets super bright, and Tojuro gets into some weird space where he sees some kind of worshipper saying that the behemoth will undoubtedly go on to become a beast that the whole world will tell stories about, calling it astounding. The weird man then tells the behemoth to listen and says that it's a powerful beast, but not only that, it's also his strongest creation, and tells the behemoth to fulfill their duties to the fullest, and the man then goes and hugs the behemoth. Tojuro then gets back to real time, and he just looks super confused. He then lands on the ground and sees a bruise on his finger, and Quattro then comes and calls out for him before telling him to look out above him, and there we see one of the horns of the behemoth starting to fall on top of Tojuro, and Tojuro knows that he is in trouble. But as we see everything crashing, we see a hand coming his way. We then see Tojuro being fine, and someone asks him why he decided to hold back at the last minute and show mercy. It's the behemoth who was transformed into a girl, and she screams at Tojuro, asking him why. Tojuro looks at her stunned and asks who she is before trying to demand her to let him down. However, as he tries to get out of her grip, he realizes that he can't and that she is super strong. He thinks that the best thing is to play cool. However, he says that it isn't that easy when she doesn't have any clothes on. She then tells Tojuro that his sword strike would have undoubtedly been able to kill her. So why did he hesitate? Tojuro asks her what she is talking about, but she tells him that she is a beast and that she must fulfill her role, and she then takes her hand closer to her, and yeah, I'm not gonna delve deeper into that. She then tells Tojuro that she rules over the beasts, but if she is hunted down in accordance with the laws of nature, then she must fulfill her role and meet a proper end. Tojuro, still having no clue to what is going on, asks her what she is talking about, but he then catches on that she is Behemoth. He thinks that anomalies aren't able to communicate with them, or at least, that's what they have always been told. We then see the small bruise Tojuro had on Behemoth's hand. The Behemoth then tells Tojuro that her heart belongs to him, and he just screams, asking how things ended up like this. After that, the text says that the anomaly that appeared during the recent operation, the superclass being tentatively known as Behemoth, field agents were dispatched in an attempt to suppress it, but it was deemed too difficult. However, just as an attempt to seal the Behemoth was initiated, it was confirmed to have already transformed into some sort of humanoid form. After that, we get to a meeting where someone says that he has never heard about something like that, and they wonder just what they are supposed to do. But then the United States says that Japan should handle it. He says that in the report it stated that a young Japanese boy greatly influenced its transformation, so they should handle it. Japan is firstly scared, but the United States president has a cold stare, which makes Japan give in, and they say that they will take care and handle it. After that, we get to Tojuro, who says that they don't even know who activated that seal, and that he really wants to know what that was all about, wondering if it is related to this weird bruise he has got, but saying that more importantly, an anomaly that appeared in the Old Testament is now staying at his place, and wondering what kind of thing that is, saying that apparently that huge creature turned into this woman, and that she scared the shit out of him, and that she even asked Tojuro to devour her. Tojuro then looks at her hand, and he sees that she also has that bruise thing. After that, Quattro comes and tells Tojuro to bear with it and that it was a decision from high above. Tojuro tries to argue, but Quattro says that the #1 law of being an exorcist is that all missions must be completed accurately and swiftly, telling Tojuro that he will be fine. and that he isn't staying too far away, and that he can drop in and see how things are going, and that it isn't so bad. Asking Tojuro if this doesn't feel like a fun start to some sort of fairy tale, and that for now Tojuro should try to handle things himself. After that, the behemoth wants to look outside, but she accidentally destroys the wall, and as she is going inside the house, her horns pierce through the ceiling. Tojuro asks her if she has to always break something whenever she moves. She tells him that it can't be helped, as she is the king of the beasts and the bringer of destruction. This makes Tojuro mad as he tells her to cut it out right away, saying that king of the beasts or not, he doesn't care, but if she keeps destroying her own nest, then she will regret it when she is open to the outside elements. Explaining that this is a rental, and that someone went out of their way to make it nice like this, and he demands her to sit because he needs to clean. The behemoth is annoyed but goes with it. She then just sits quietly, and Tojuro is done with fixing everything, but he thinks that he hasn't heard anything from her before. Being annoyed with Quattro, he says that he promised that if Tojuro finished his last job, then he would get his freedom. Anyway, the behemoth then speaks up and asks Tojuro when he will be devouring her flesh. Tojuro screams at her and asks her why the hell she keeps saying that. The behemoth says that she is pretty confident in the quality of her meat, especially the area around her belly. Tojuro tells her that he won't be eating her and to stop trying to tempt him to do it. Besides, she is now living amongst humans now, so why would he even devour her meat when they have plenty of delicious food here? He then cooks up a really nice looking dish and tells her to dig in. She looks at it closely before starting to eat it. Tojuro asks her how it is, and she looks overjoyed. Tojuro blushes and tells her that she can eat as much as she wants. We then see that she finished a ton of plates and even then is asking for more food. Tojuro says that she ate everything and that there is nothing left, but she still says that she wants more, so Tojuro says that he will buy more for her. However, as he is walking to the store, he calls it a pain, saying that she is huge and constantly goes on about wanting him to devour her, and that she's inconsiderate and keeps breaking stuff. But at the same time, at least she listens to him when he talks, and the rice he made for her, she seemed to really enjoy it. Tojuro then smiles and says that she really is something else. He then wonders what anomalies even like to eat, but then Quattro comes by him and asks if he is also out shopping. Tojuro says that he thought that Quattro had gone back, but Quattro says that he told him that he would be close by. Quattro then looks at Tojuro's shopping and asks him if he is buying food for the behemoth. He says that he is, but also for himself, as she ate everything in their house, and then she looked really sad, because all of the food was gone. Quattro is just silent before Tojuro tells him to listen. He says that he has been thinking that she might not actually be evil, and if they tried talking to other anomalies the same way, then they might be able to talk to, and more willing to listen. Then they thought so instead of subjugating them, but Quattro cuts him off and tells him that it's a dangerous way of thinking, telling him that no matter how much special treatment you afford them, they are still anomalies, and they can easily kill them with just one hand. Even that behemoth probably even easier, Tojuro tries to argue, but Quattro says that they can go berserk, and that it would be far too late for them to regret biting the hand that fed them. Quattro asks Tojuro if he gets it, saying that it's good that they seem to get along, but that he must never get his guard down, and that he must also make an effort to not get caught up in her place. Tojuro still tries to argue, and says that he doesn't believe that she is evil, but just then, something happens with his mark on his finger, and it says, "Warning," telling Tojuro that 10 minutes have passed since he has been more than 200 meters away from the subject, and that they are nullifying engagement. Tojuro asks what is going on, and if the bruise just spoke, but they then realize that something is wrong, and just then it seems to start an earthquake. But as they look out, they see the behemoth in full size being in town, and they wonder if she has seriously turned back. Tojuro asks Quattro how this happened, but he says that he isn't sure himself, and that the only thing he knows is that if they let this continue, then things are only going to get worse. Tojuro asks the ring if they can't do something about it, but it says that under current conditions, it is impossible, and for now, please find a way to calm down Behemoth. Behemoth then starts to go wild, and Quattro, while having his gun out, tells Tojuro to let's go. Tojuro asks him why he has his gun out, and he tells Tojuro that they can't let her harm the city or its people, saying that he isn't sure what calming her down means, but if she keeps rampaging this town, and its citizens will get hurt, and worst case scenario, they may have to consider extermination, which shocks Tojuro. Tojuro knows that he can't let that happen, so he jumps towards her and screams her name. However, the behemoth is just continuing to cause rampage, and Tojuro thinks that there has to be a way, so he takes a deep breath and screams while asking her to stop and sit down, which she actually does. Even Tojuro himself says that he didn't think that it would work, and that the behemoth actually listens to him. But just then Quattro spots something and tells Tojuro that it isn't, and tells him to look up, and as he does so, he spots a ton of anomalies flying around in the sky. They noticed that more and more of them are gathering around the behemoth, and they start to wonder if it's her that is calling for them. Quatre then says that he knew it, and that these anomalies are far too dangerous. However, Tojuro can't stop thinking about his moments with the behemoth, and we then see the behemoth punching one of the anomalies and killing it. She explains that Tojuro told her that human nests must not be destroyed. Tojuro then screams out for her, and she gathers all of her powers as she lets out a massive roar, which destroys all of the other anomalies. After that, the ring starts to speak again and says that the subject is returning to human form. We then see the behemoth transforming, and she says that the others came here because they wanted to meet the behemoth, but that she chased them away and asks if she did a good job. Tojuro looks super happy before closing his eyes and screaming at her to put on some clothes. Quatre just laughs looking at this and says that the terms of the contract have actually been fulfilled, and with something as outrageous as this. After that, we see the higher-ups talking about what just happened. The man from earlier says that no matter how you look at this, it could be their big chance, and that these anomalies, no other country has managed to get their hands on their mysterious powers yet. For instance, if that young man could actually control the behemoth, it would be a great help to them. They ask him what he means with control, but he says that he means making the behemoth fall in love with him. The girl worker just says that he had no idea that he were into such girly things, but he says that he isn't, but that he thinks about how easier things would become if he could tame the behemoth like that. Saying that for now, to ensure nothing like this happens again, they should request support from the headquarters and monitor the situation. We then see Tojuro saying that he knew it, and that anomalies can understand them if they just try and talk to each other, and that they won't need to kill them anymore. However, we then get back to the man who says that the mission has already started, and it's to make the behemoth and that young man fall in love with each other.